Welcome, everyone, to the Proven Knowledge Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Church. I'm a music producer from Northeast Ohio. I began this weekly interview series to give you different perspectives from artists, producers, engineers, and other individuals in the music industry. In each episode, we touch on not only what has helped the person succeed, but we also touch on what has shaped them into the person that they are today. I hope you're able to gain some real proven knowledge from the show, and that it helps elevate you on your own journey to success as well. Let's get into it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 298 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. Today was a part 2 episode. We haven't done a part 2 episode in a little bit, so I wanted to bring back a guest we had on in 2021, fellow Ohio native Kyle Mahlik. And the first time we talked initially back in 2021, he had told me about wanting to move down south to Atlanta and his big goal is to make that happen. And it was pretty cool to catch up this week because he kind of talked about being able to make that move, what that has meant to him to be able to develop new working relationships and just gain a footing down there. He talked about creating his own studio that he's been recording and working at, the freedom that has unlocked for him. He also discussed his brand new project in the works titled Vivid, which should be out relatively soon, near the time of this episode or shortly after, so be on the lookout for that. And he just has a lot of big goals planned for the next 5 years, which we talked about at the end. And like we talked about in the closing, I think the theme of this episode, the word to describe this episode, would be authentic. And Kyle is an artist who I've known long enough now to know that he is 100% his true and authentic self, and I respect him all the way for being able to do that and continue to do that as he moves forward and as his trajectory continues to go up and up and up. So I want to thank Kyle again for stopping by and catching up with me this week. And without further ado, let's get into this one. All right, so this is episode 298, and we got another returning guest, another part 2 episode today. This is the first part 2 that I've done in a while, but someone that I've been connected with for at least 5 or 6 years at this point. Kyle Mahlik, obviously happy to have you here again, man, and thanks for checking back in.
Yes, no, thank you. I'm super happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And I know that, we got connected in person for a little bit. We did like a studio session back in 2021, and we had you on the show back in 2021 as well. So I guess I kind of want to start with, what has been the biggest change you've had over these last 5 or 6 years since we last talked. It could be musically, it could be life as well. I know you moved at one point out of Ohio. So I guess I'm curious to know, what has been up in your life and in music?
Well, honestly, so I moved to Atlanta. So I moved to Atlanta, Georgia in 2024. So I've been down here for about 2 years. Moving out here, I ended up investing into my own studio. And what I will say is it's been super helpful, like artistically and creatively. Coming out here definitely... It showed me I've been around a lot of creative people. So what it did was it got me a lot out of my comfort zone. I took a step back from like me as an artist and honestly just me I just wanted to analyze other people. And I've seen people that like vocalists, singers, instrumentalists. And I kind of just like took a step and I learned from them. So what I did, I became a student again. That's kind of where I've been musically. So I've taken a lot of time to just, work on myself, work on my craft. And now I'm able to kind of get back out there. So I'm working on a project currently.
Awesome. And I'm excited to dive into that as well, because I know you put out a few songs last year. But at first I want to touch on what you just said about moving out to Atlanta and just being in a new environment in general. I guess I would ask, what are the challenges, or what were the challenges when you first got out there of trying to, gain your footing, and not only that, but, develop new relationships with people in the city as well?
Honestly, I feel like in Atlanta, so it's funny. I think in Atlanta it's a lot easier to make connections because everyone out here, they're all working towards something. So it's kind of like we're all able to like collaborate, and even if that specific person can't help you, they might know someone that can help you. So it definitely got me out of my comfort zone of like talking to people or like networking. And sometimes even like introducing yourself to people, you don't always have to be like, hey, I'm an artist.
Mm.
You know, it could just be like, hey, like I'm super cool, you're super cool. And then eventually you'll find out, oh, I'm a drummer. Or hey, I was on set for this thing. Like maybe you should go to this audition. But some of the challenges that I faced was like in the beginning, like getting outside. Um, the financial, it's a big difference in Atlanta than it is in Cleveland. So for me, it was just getting on my feet and still wanting to be an artist at the same time. Um, and then also, like you said, establishing the connections in the beginning because
Yeah.
I started finding everything on like TikTok, you know, so I would go to little mixers, go to little events, and I was by myself. But eventually it worked out. But you just have to get out of your comfort zone and like shake through the nerves, and then
Yeah.
you'll be like, okay, like I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, and it's good too because for you, you had already been an artist for so long back in Cleveland, so you already knew how to do connections that way and networking that way. It's just almost like the change of environment and then kind of adapting to that new environment is the thing to get
Yeah.
through, which is definitely interesting. But I'm glad to hear that it has gone pretty well and being able to do that. And I imagine continuing to push yourself past those limits is very fulfilling and rewarding at the end of the day. So I'm curious now on the music side of things. You did drop 3 songs in 2025. So kind of just give us a recap of those. I know you had some visuals paired with them as well. So
Mm-hmm.
just tell me about the songs and then kind of what went into crafting the visuals that you chose to pair with those songs.
Yeah. So last year I dropped a song called Soul Ties. So that was the first song that I dropped. Soul Ties, I didn't do a visual to it only because one thing I was working on that now this is something that I've changed as like as an artist. I think my brand has always been like visuals.
Hmm.
And I wanted to take a step back from just visuals and I wanted to really dive in on the music. Um so Soul Ties, I just wanted to strictly be about the music. And I wanted that one too because I feel like it was a little more experimental. It was a little more like atmospheric. It was just different from things that I normally put out. Um, and so, yeah, so that's kind of what I did with Soul Ties. And then I released At My Worst. At My Worst was just kind of a throwaway. It was like really a demo, and it was something that I was really working towards just to test it out and see like what do people really want to hear from me. And then Sweet Casanova was definitely like that was the first song that I recorded in my studio by
Hmm.
myself. So I was super proud of myself for doing that because I was like, oh, like is it gonna be different? Are people gonna notice? Um, but honestly, what gave me the courage to do that was like watching a bunch of artists on TikTok literally record themselves in BandLab and blow up.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, you should do it. Like, why are you're afraid to put yourself out there and try something different? And I feel like again, it helped me grow. So I put out Sweet Casanova, and me pairing my visuals. I met a videographer out here that's super dope. He's super talented, and he was willing to work with me. So I didn't really have much of a concept. I just wanted to look like I was having fun. I was enjoying myself. I was in a little car wash. I wanted my newer music to be a bit more lighthearted
Yeah.
because I think in the past my music used to be very deep, and I think that's beautiful and it's amazing. But I do want to see like the growth and elevation,
Hmm.
and sometimes you just want to make feel good music, you know?
Yeah, and I think that shows versatility as well, that you're able to kind of tackle different sides of your personality and the real stories that you're living through your own life, which I think
Yep.
is super awesome as well. Let's talk about, what you just said, recording in your own studio and how much freedom that can bring. Because obviously, I think that almost started during the pandemic where a lot of people, they couldn't go to studios. So what they did was record and learn how to record like from their bedroom or living room or wherever it was and just post up and grab a microphone, grab a laptop and get it going. So I imagine the project you're working on right now is mostly going to be done that way. So I guess the question would be, what kind of feeling are you getting from being able to do that? And, are you going to be looking to do that pretty much moving forward from here on out?
So I do want to say that I started recording my actual project, Vivid. It's going to be called Vivid. It's going to be multiple versions of Vivid. The one that I'm going to be putting out soon is called Vivid Heatwave. I did start recording my album in an actual studio
Hmm.
out here. I have an engineer. Her name's Nell. she also kind of mixes my music. So if I'm recording my vocals, sometimes she'll mix. Because I want to be honest, I don't want to get. I tried to mix. It's a lot. I'm not gonna lie.
I
I
feel you.
think eventually I'll get there.
Yeah.
Um, but I did start recording in an actual studio, and then I record myself at home. But a lot of things that I faced was freedom. I felt like I was allowed to create whatever I want and not feel like, oh my gosh, like I got 4 hours, I gotta hurry up and finish this song, or oh, I hate this bridge, let me go back and let me fix it. And it's like, oh, I'm about to run out of time. It's like, whatever, I gotta just come back next time.
Yeah.
So now I'm able to sit with my music and like experiment and crack and sound crazy, but it's kind of like that's the beauty in creation, I feel. So now I'm just able to kind of just like experiment more with my art and my music. I'm on this project, I'm rapping a little bit. Like I'm just really stepping out of my comfort zone. And I think like me having my own studio, I'm able to do what I want to do. So I think that's kind of the benefit.
Yeah. Wanted to take a quick minute out of today's episode to let you guys know of a way that you can support the show, a way that you can donate some funds to us, starting at as little as $5 or more via our Ko-fi page. Now, we've been using Ko-fi now for a few years, and it's been a very effective way to generate some funds that we end up using for future guests, sponsors, just an overall way to keep this show as quality as it has been for the last several years, and we always appreciate any and all contributions. So if you go to coffee.com/the Proven Knowledge Podcast, that's KO-FI.com/the Proven Knowledge Podcast, you can donate, like I said, $5 or more. It gives you that option to do 10, 20, 30, or just type in whatever amount. Any contributions are appreciated. And, I do this show from the bottom of my heart for the love of it at the end of the day. But those funds are always, always welcome because they do allow us to do more and be more flexible with how we continue to grow this platform in the future. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that. The link will be in the description of the show notes of this episode you're listening to now. So definitely check it out. But without further ado, let's get back into the episode. I think it allows for self-discovery as well as an artist, or more self-discovery, I guess, than you would just by always going to another studio and recording and figuring things out on a budget, especially because you're always paying for studio time, and then you're limited to certain blocks of time during the week or whenever it is. So that's definitely incredible.
Sorry to add is that it allows you to have like freedom, but also it just allows you to kind of like I had literally a perfect thing for that, and I forgot it. But it just kind of allows you to be free, basically. And I think sometimes like I'm always so quick to like rush and finish because, like you said, when you spend money on studio time, I'm spending. And out here in Atlanta, studio time is really expensive. It's like at least $75 an hour. In Cleveland, it was like 40. 40, 50-ish. So it was like, I got to hurry up and get this done. I feel like I can actually take my time. And it's also changed the way I even approach songs. Like sometimes I'll go in the studio and I won't even write something down. Like I'll literally just go into my session and I'll mumble it, or, I'll try to freestyle. And I think that gives me a lot of freedom. So,
yeah. What about the title Vivid itself? What does that kind of mean, and what is the concept behind the overall project?
So Vivid is, I've been working on this concept for a very long time. I've been teasing it, but at the time I feel like I was really discovering who I was, so that's basically what Vivid is. Vivid is just kind of like looking back on your life, finding out, who you are, and honestly self-acceptance. I feel like I look at Vivid, I feel like it describes me perfectly. Like I feel like I'm colorful, I'm vibrant, but Vivid to me has just so many different shades. And so I'm like unlocking different personalities and like different sides of who I am. And I'm basically showcasing that to my audience. And it's like so for Vivid Heatwave, for example, I feel like Vivid Heatwave is my light side. It's my fun side. It's me coming out of my shell. And then, as I progress longer into the projects and I piece by piece, I'll talk a lot about my past and like my traumas and, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
But Vivid is a very deep part of who I am, and I feel like
Yeah.
I'm a little unexplainable. So that's why I wanted to call it Vivid.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for it, and just kind of picturing what the artwork might look like. I don't know if you have the album artwork done, but like, what is that going to look like? Because I imagine it's going to have a lot of color schemes and things kind of going on to represent the style of the music too.
Yeah, and also it kind of it's basically similar to my Kyle Mahlik, my brand, and that was
Mm.
another thing. I wanted it for Heat Wave. I wanted it to be more of a full circle moment. So because in a way, I don't necessarily feel like I'm killing my old self, but I feel like I'm kind of shedding and I'm evolving into like a better person, a more
Mm.
mature version of myself. So I did want to at least. I feel like my fans or my audience definitely deserves a project where I can be full circle Kyle Mahlik of like who they know me as, but in a mature way.
Yeah.
So it'll definitely have like the pinks and the hues and maybe a palm tree or two.
Nice.
But it'll definitely be on a more grand scale and it'll be kind of elevated for
Yeah.
sure.
And do you have like a release date kind of lined up currently, or are you still kind of in the finishing stages of getting it ready before you start planning when it's going to be dropping?
So I have a timeline, and I just know for sure it's coming out this year.
Okay.
But my goal is my birthday. My birthday is March 22nd.
Nice.
So I really want it out on my birthday, just because again I feel like releasing that old like you're shedding your skin and like coming into this new version of myself. Like I'm about to be 27, so I look at it like it's the perfect time. But I
Yeah.
also don't want to rush either. I do feel like I've taken my time as long as I have, so I mean, like I might as well just put the finishing touches. But I'll definitely say it'll be either before March or in March to the summertime.
Nice. Well, if it does drop in March, this episode will be coming out around that time, so it'll kind of work out pretty
Mhm.
well. But
Yeah.
if not, people can expect it, not too long after this episode drops,
Hmm.
which is exciting. So, and early congrats on that as well. Early
Thank you.
congrats on it, putting a lot of work in, I can tell. So I'm excited for it. And is there anybody you want to shout out? You obviously shouted out your engineer. Anybody else you want to shout out that you've been working with? Could be artists or just anyone in general that you want to let us know about.
Absolutely. Shout out to Nell. Shout out to Reese, my videographer. Shout out to G Ramon, that's my brother. Shout out to K Terry. These are all artists, by the way. Super fire. Shout out to my best friend. I moved down here with my best friend. She's my roommate. Um, and we literally packed up everything and we said, let's do it and let's focus on ourselves and really show up for ourselves. And I'm really proud of us. So shout out to her because she's
Yeah.
literally my rock.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And before we get into the end of the episode here, I guess I kind of want to recap what we talked about, in that first episode in 2021, because the goals that you talked about then were kind of what you were living out now, how you were going to move to Atlanta and you were going to do these things. And it looks like you have done a lot of those things you talked about back then. And since we're about halfway through the decade at this point, we're moving into the second half of the 2020s. What would you say are your big goals for the next 4 to 5 years now moving forward, that you feel like you're more established now in Atlanta, you're working on this project, you got all these things going on? What is the next big goal for you?
Yes, honestly, my biggest goal out here is to. I have a few, but my big goal is to really continue to live in my truth and be authentic and in my artistry and build these connections and also build. I don't want to say a cult fan base, but kind of like a Tyler the Creator. I just want people to love me for me and
Hmm.
my music and my art, and I want to build that family and that connection with my people.
Yeah.
And in the future, I definitely see myself writing for others. I've always said that. I've been writing for people recently as well behind the scenes, but I just want to have my foot in all forms in the industry. I still want to be that low key guy because I'm shy. But I want everybody to know who Kyle Mahlik is,
Yeah.
and I want to have my fan base and my family. So that's really my biggest thing out here. And eventually, I do want to move to LA because
Hmm.
I've always wanted to live in LA. LA is just super expensive,
Yep.
but in 4 to 5 years, when I'm successful, I will be in LA.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's going to be kind of the next like step of the reinvention and the evolution too, which is
Mm-hmm.
very exciting. So I'm looking forward to it for sure. Is there anything else that you have coming out this year outside of music that you want to let people know about before we get out of here?
Well, not necessarily. What I will say is that I am starting to experiment a lot more with fashion. So be on the lookout for that. I think that's going to become a part of my little Kyle Mahlik brand. So yeah, so anybody that supports me, I might have some fashion things on the way, and you'll be
Nice.
on the lookout.
Got the clothing line in the works. That's
I hope
awesome.
so, look.
That's awesome. It's exciting. And as always, do you have any final words of wisdom for the listeners today?
My final words of wisdom is just to always be authentic. Be authentic, be yourself. It doesn't matter how cringy you are. It doesn't matter how uncomfortable you may be. Don't go through imposter syndrome. You are enough. And that's something I have to tell myself every single day. I was literally, before me and you got on a call, I was listening to all of my music. And I was like, wow, like you've really been putting out music for a while. And sometimes like you forget who you are. You forget yourself. Because life is always going by so fast. So the biggest thing is just always remember who you are and, appreciate yourself, love all forms of you, and show up for yourself. But be authentic always.
Yeah. That's cool because I was just thinking a few minutes ago when you were talking about just your journey. I was thinking authentic is probably the word of this episode. And there you go. So it just kind of echoes that again. But Kyle, thank you again for joining me again on this episode. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you do moving forward, and I'm excited to hear the new project as well. And you always got a home over here, man, so thank you. Anytime you want to stop by again, just let me know and we'll make it happen. So
for sure, thank you, and thank you for always having me and supporting me. Like like I said, we've been 5 years. It's been a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, you always got a home here as well.
Just want to say thank you for tuning in today. Be sure to hit that coffee link in the description of this episode if you'd like to donate any funds. And we'll see you back here with another new episode next week. As always, thank you for your support.